Well, occasionally one has to tell a story that might be a little embarrassing to oneself. The excuse I make is that I was young. As a matter of fact, I believe, 11 years old. But I might have been 12. Now, what that means is, it was either 50 years ago or 49 years ago, so I can be forgiven for not quite remembering how old I was when it happened. It was summer, and was probably the month of August. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It hadn't been too long before that we had moved out to a piece of property that was in my family. And on it was an old house. And it was the house where my maternal grandfather's sister had lived. And so we moved right into it. And it was 5 rooms and a path, if you take my meaning. It had brick siding, which is a thing that only the oldest among you will remember. And it had a tin roof, which was lovely when it rained, and it didn't leak. And as I can tell you from personal experience, that's a lovely thing too. Well, 5 rooms and a path, cold running water, no hot, a warm morning coal stove, and I think that sets up enough of the action. There was, just off the back porch, a pump room. And under the pump room, of course, was the cistern. And the cistern had long ago dried out. The pump didn't work anymore, and it didn't matter. Why? We had county water. And though only in one flavor. Well, that's another story for another time. This cistern, my father thought, would make a good septic tank, because he wanted there to be an organized bathroom, and not the kind of wooden shed with a splintery seat and who knows how many spiders living in it, where a person went to take care of their business. And, you know, I think he had the right idea. Well, he installed the necessaries, but the pump remained, and there was a concrete floor over that basement below, root cellar really, below, and the tin roof above, which was unencumbered by a ceiling. You looked up, you just saw the tin roof. And there was the kind of glass window that had a metal frame of iron, and it had 3 dividers, 4 panes of glass, and it had long ago rusted shut. I'm not saying the place was a dump. I'm just saying maybe there wasn't a good place to take one. Any road. Because of the pump, there was the little trough, also concrete, and a zinc pipe that jutted through the wall for the overflow from the trough. And I had fireworks left over. You can probably already see this coming. I didn't. I was only 11 or 12 years old. And I learned that you could fit 3 in the zinc pipe, stacked in a triangle. And you could then twist the fuses together. What I hadn't discovered was that the blast would not only come out the front, rather like a cannon, which is what I wanted, but would also come out the back, rather like a cannon, and is not what I wanted. And my father had gone in to read the Sunday paper or something there in the little room, and he had just got settled. And I put the firecrackers in the zinc pipe, and I lit the fuse, and they went off. The report was much louder than I could ever have imagined the report of 3 little firecrackers to be, and that's because it was bursting into what was, in essence, a resonating chamber. The tin roof shook. The window rattled. And my father said some words that I was vaguely familiar with, but did not know they went together in such ways as he put them. And they were followed by all 3 of my own names. I did what any 11 or 12-year-old child would do. I ran. I not only ran, I found within me a coordination that I had never previously exhibited. I not only ran, I jumped the barbed wire fences that separated the pastures from our little yard, and I just kept running and jumping fences until I got down to the creek, and I took a right into a place that was full of trees and rocks, and I hid there. It was pretty much my standard hiding place. My brother knew about it because he used to hide there with me. And it was possessed of a certain natural beauty, which was a consolation to a boy who was convinced that he was now under the sentence of some terrible punishment, a dread punishment. And I stayed there till about dusky dark, all afternoon and into the twilight. And my brother came, and as God is my witness, these were his words to me. He promised not to kill you. You would think that this would come as some sort of consolation. Well, I can imagine tortures that would come close to killing me, but not quite. But I was hungry, and he also said, "And supper's ready." So I walked, much more slowly than I had run, back to the house, the little house, up those back steps, past the well room of the unfortunate incident, and into the back door, into the kitchen, where our table was set up. And on it was probably the most delicious food, because my mother is such a good cook. But I knew that everything was going to taste like ashes in my mouth. And my father said, after I quit yelling, it was pretty funny. And I promised never to do it again. And I was able to keep that promise. It was pretty easy. And he didn't torture me. I had, apparently, done all the torture that was needed. Which makes me think about a thing. In our lives, we all make some pretty dreadful mistakes. And things don't turn out the way we thought they would. From these things that seem like a good idea at the time. And maybe, just maybe, in the back of our minds, we think of our eternal Father and how angry he's going to be. And maybe, just maybe, we think if we punish ourselves enough, that he won't take it so hard on us on the day we stand in front of him. Well, let me tell you, I find that to be absolute nonsense from my own experience. Our regret is real and heartfelt. And that's enough. It was never our self-loathing. It was never our punishment of ourselves that was going to make our Father love us. It was his decision to do so before he ever made us. Good night.